Peace and blessings, y'all, in this corner boxing 24. Good evening, good evening, good evening. How's everyone doing this evening? Hope everybody's doing well. I'm doing good. I'm doing great, of course. God is good, and God is always great. So, I really can't complain, all right? We here, right? July 28th, 2022. And I was watching the press conference earlier, the last press conference for Danny Garcia and Jose Benavidez Jr. And, I like the card, the undercard, and particularly I like Gary Antoine Russell versus Francis Bartholomew, right? And Cuban fighter who's trying to become a first Cuban fighter to become a three-division fighter. Three-division titleist. So, and when we look at Gary Antoine Russell, of course, 15-0 with 15 knockouts, right? I will say his last fight with Victor Postol shouldn't have been stopped. Victor Postol still could fight. He even protested the fight being stopped. I think that was a very early stoppage, but I like Gary Antoine Russell's energy. I like his fight game, and he's a problem at 140. But really what I want to talk about and get into is Danny Garcia and Jose Benavidez Jr., okay? So Danny Garcia, 36-3, 3 losses, 21 knockouts, going against Benavidez Jr., 27-1-1 with 18 knockouts. Danny Garcia has 3 losses, Keith Thurman, 1 to Sean Porter, and his last loss almost 2 years ago was to Errol Spence Jr. In a fight that I felt like he really didn't do too much. I guess the only credit you could really give him is that he didn't really get hurt. Not that we could see it. Maybe if he was hurt, he wasn't showing it. He didn't get knocked down, he didn't get beat down. So I guess we can give him credit for that. But he got beat, nonetheless, by Errol Spence. And now it's kind of funny because now he's saying at 154 he feels rejuvenated after the 19-month layoff, and he feels like he would like to have a rematch with Errol Spence Jr. at 154. Don't know if that's going to happen. And I think he needs to be really worried about his fight on Saturday with Jose Benavidez Jr., 27-1, like I said, and won. 27-1 with 18 knockouts. A person who's not a highly skilled fighter, as Danny Garcia's father, Angel, said. He's not a skilled fighter, he said. I'm not going to say he doesn't have any skills because he was a champion in the amateurs. And he's 27-1-1. He might not have beat the best, but his only loss is to Terrence Bud Crawford. And that fight went, 11 rounds, if I'm not mistaken, right? So 11, 12 rounds. So, he's not the most highly skilled fighter, but he has some fight game. His brother is David Benavidez, and I don't think he's the most skilled fighter, but he definitely has some skill. He's definitely a fighter that some fighters are avoiding, right? So, Danny Garcia at 154, pardon me, don't know how that works out for him. He said it's good for him because he's actually a bigger guy, and he was cutting weight to get down to 140, 147. I could see that. I'm not surprised. A lot of these fighters do that, okay? But that doesn't mean at 154 you're going to carry the power. You might carry the power in sparring, but who knows if you're going to carry the power in the fight? We don't know. And you're not used to fighting there. And you're fighting somebody that's always been at 147 and that he has a little strength himself. He's a little strong himself. And then he spars with his bigger brother who's 168 pounds, probably walking around almost 200 pounds. You know what I'm saying? David Benavidez. So it's interesting to see how this fight goes. I do think Jose Benavidez Jr. has a chance to upset, if you want to call it that, Danny Garcia, because Danny Garcia, at the end of the day, even though he has 3 losses, he does have a hell of a resume. His best work was at 140, where he fought the best. Lucas Matisse, who was knocking everybody out. Amir Khan, Lamont Peterson. I mean, he fought the animals at 140. He was the beast. He went to 147. Of course, he got those 2 losses with Thurman and Sean Porter. But 140, man, he did some great work. So, you know, I don't know if it would be an upset per se in a high category, but it may be an upset to the degree of what Jose Benavidez has been doing and what he has on his record. Okay, the names that he has on his record. It damn sure would be a good win for him. And I think he has a good shot to win. Neither one of them are my favorite fighters, so I can't really say who I like or who I don't like. I like both of them as human beings, as people. I really don't know them, but as fighters, pretty much respectful. Danny Garcia is a pretty much respectful person. I do think he flip-flops sometimes with his analysis, and especially when it comes to Errol Spence and Crawford. Like, don't worry about that, man, because you didn't beat him. So don't say what Crawford can't do because you didn't do it. Crawford is a different fighter to you. And also, don't say you fought both because you fought Crawford in amateurs. How many years ago, bro? How many years ago? Almost 20 years ago? Like, come on, man. So you don't know how he fights. You ain't been in the ring with him. Okay, you just got in the ring with Errol Spence. And let's keep it real. You wasn't running to Errol Spence either until Sean Porter fought him. And you saw Sean Porter do some work. And all of a sudden, you started calling his name. Keith Thurman and Danny Garcia, neither one of y'all were trying to fight Errol Spence Jr. Let's keep it real, okay? Y'all wasn't running to that fight. So stop it. Stop acting like you some courageous dude now. You finally took the fight. After Mikey Garcia, lightweight, came up and fought him, that should have gave you some balls to want to fight him. And then when you saw Sean Porter get in there and duel with him and have some sex, now you wanted to fight him. But at least you did, because Keith Thurman still ain't want no smoke. He's still a chump. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just looking forward, man, to a good fight, man, on Saturday, man. And may the best man win, the man that's better prepared. I like Jose Benavidez Sr., the father. You know, he talks straight. He speaks straight words. You know, Angel Garcia, he does talk a lot. Like Jose Benavidez Jr. said, he talks a lot. And he does, man. He talks a lot of crap. You know, he's not the one in the ring. He said it's the Danny Garcia show. That show is not really, you know, who if he beats Jose Benavidez, who else he gonna beat at 154? Let's keep it real. He can't beat Jamel Charlo. Ain't no way he's gonna beat Jamel Charlo. And he's a better boxer, but Jamel Charlo's meaner. He's stronger. He's faster. And he has enough skill to beat Danny Garcia, stop Danny Garcia, hurt Danny Garcia, in my opinion. Okay? So, what are you going to do at 154? You know, Crawford coming up to 154. Errol Spence at 154. I don't see no difference with him and Errol Spence at 154. I really don't. Because of the way Errol Spence beat him. I don't really see the difference. Okay? And I'm not saying Errol Spence is going to do bad at 154 because that's going to be closer to his walk-around weight. You know? So that'll be definitely, he should be good at 154, depending on who he fights. Danny Garcia, I think he beats him at 154 again. So I don't know what Danny Garcia is looking at. I think he definitely needs to stay away from Lara. Lara will totally outbox him, in my opinion. He needs to stay away from that. And Jose Benavidez Jr., if he beats Danny Garcia, I really don't know where he goes either. He can't beat Jamel Charlo. Can he beat Spence? I doubt it. Can he beat Crawford in the rematch? I doubt it. So really, man, it's like a crossroads for both of them. Because both of them, whoever wins, what are they going to do at 154? That's my thing. I think Jose Benavidez will have a better shot at 147 with the size that he has, as long as he stays away from Jaron Enos and probably Rashidi Ellis. As long as he stays away from those guys, he probably have a better shot with those other guys, like Stanionis and Keith Thurman. And I think for Danny Garcia, if he loses this fight, he's probably going to think about just giving it up. I mean, that'll be 4 losses. And depending on how he loses, if it's a close fight, he may say, let me give it one more shot at 154. He may go after a Lara fight. Okay, but if he loses by a wide margin or gets hurt and just looks really bad, then he may just give it up. So it's definitely a crossroad fight, in my humble opinion, for both of them. But we're going to see what happens, all right? Philly produces the best fighters. There's no doubt about it. And I'm from New York. But Philly produced the best fighters now. They've always produced great fighters. But now they definitely produce the best. Okay? It's just no doubt about it. So, they got a long history. Okay? New York has a long history, but right now, we're trying to get back on the map. Hopefully we get back on the map with some of these young fighters. But that's it, man. That's all I really got. So July 30th at the Barclays Center, Danny Swift Garcia against Jose Benavidez Jr. And I'm looking forward to that undercard fight with Gary Antoine Russell and Rancis Barthélemy. And that's it, man. Boxing is here. We back. And this is In This Corner Boxing 24. Please subscribe to the page. Please leave your comments, whether it's nay or yay. Please stay safe out there. Protect yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back. And, congratulate yourself, man. And be good to yourself, man. It's always good to congratulate yourself and be good to yourself. Sometimes other people don't do it, and we look for it out of other people, man. But do it for yourself. All right? Peace and blessings. In This Corner Boxing 24.